I think that's going to get a lot worse.
Buy some gas for $4.
I think that's going to look pretty good soon. I think, yeah.
This is regular. $4, dude. $4.99.
It's not super premium.
No, $4.99
No.
for a regular.
Whoa. But is anybody here from California? No. I heard like in California, it's just normal to eat that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well that's not. Yeah, right.
I saw in California it's like $7 right now.
It's crazy.
Whew.
It's insane.
That's terrible. I hate having to drive. I just am not a fan of it all. I want the electric. I want the Tesla that I can just order when I need it. You know, picks me up, takes me someplace. I'm ready. I'm ready for the robot cars. I need to get gas. Oh no. I got some stuff to hand back to you.
So convenient.
Remember?
I saw someone who, like, on their TikTok the other day, they were like, I love living in LA, and gas was like $4.53 a gallon. I was like,
Yeah. Look at that.
That's like terrifying.
people just
stay
don't
home.
drive.
Just want to stay home.
So let's go. We'll get to these eventually.
Just stay home.
Just stay home. Yeah, I could honestly just do everything virtually and probably be a pretty happy man.
So, is the mask mandate, is that?
Yes, thank God. It's
Wait, here?
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is
we
last
really
week.
talked about how we didn't think that was gonna happen.
Yeah, next week. Next week we don't have to wear masks. It's optional.
In class?
In class. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the whole campus, like in class, if you're gonna get food and things.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
That's
fantastic.
so cool.
It's about time.
I know that some teachers are putting in like, just like classroom guidelines though, so it might be like different per class.
Like you can't be like all bundled up.
What's that?
Like you probably can't have like a bunch of people together.
Yeah, probably not. I feel like we won't have to do anything
Yeah,
different,
Yeah.
right? I mean, pretty spread out as it is. Okay, here's my
Are you kidding me to go away?
I think I was
Damn.
I didn't give you one of those. It's going to be one of these kinds of days, isn't it? Where things are just disappearing on me. Oh wait, here we go.
I love those kinds of things.
Do you?
No.
No.
I'm being
Yeah. Good.
sarcastic.
You're being sarcastic. Yes, sir. There you
A
are.
symptom of anxiety, of my particular anxiety too, is like I forget things recently, and I just
Gross.
do not know where to go. And I'll find them like 4 days later.
Oh,
and I'm like,
that's-
oh, this would have been nice when I actually needed it.
Yeah.
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 Like I lost my toothbrush at home, so I had to go get a new toothbrush last night before I went to bed. It's a whole thing.
You can just use your finger. You know?
I'm kind of neurotic about actually brushing my teeth with an actual toothbrush.
Oh, you actually care if your teeth are clean.
Yeah, I do.
I remember doing it with a finger, like camping and stuff.
I feel like camping's different though. Like you're already in the wilderness.
Yeah, exactly. So your hands are really filthy. But I've never.
Oh my god.
when I'm camping, like I'll eat stuff off the ground camping.
Oh, me
Like
too.
you're out in the woods, it's like who cares? It's just
What?
like
It's just nature.
it's just
Okay, they'll
nature.
eat stuff?
Like a bug or like your actual
No,
food?
but you
I'm
have
a
to be
vegan,
careful.
so I wouldn't eat the bug, but
Okay.
Have you ever seen Into the Wild? I like
Yeah.
it.
That's
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, like that's a good reason why you shouldn't just eat random things off the grass.
there's that. Yeah, there
I
is
would
that.
die.
Yeah,
Is that a book though?
yeah, it is.
It's both. Yeah.
I know. I got my brother that book recently, and he loves
I
it.
have the book.
Oh my gosh.
It was like the only novel I brought with me.
I have so many
Did I
books
give
now.
you-
I'm like, oh my god, I'm a book
Oh.
lady.
Good, that's good. Thank you.
When the F did that happen?
And I got you one of these, a long divider. This is it. This is the last handout.
This is a little scary for me.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a
No, it's
little
good.
intimidating.
It's things to
Is
fill
this
in.
gonna be fun or
Yeah, I
like?
think so.
Okay.
It's pretty chill. Does it look scary?
I think waited.
No, I was just hoping we did something fun after like last time, you know, made those nice little.
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
gonna be
miss
quite that,
strips.
not quite cutting your
Oh,
face
okay,
open.
okay. So you know how we were talking about dimensions last class?
Yes.
I went home and I watched Interstellar with my family.
Oh, so you.
And it was the only movie my parents have ever stayed awake for. Like, seriously.
Wow, because that's kind of a hard one to stay awake
Oh.
from.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's the only movie I've ever seen my parents start to finish have their eyes open for.
Wow.
And for like
It's 'cause of McConaughey.
4 consistent days, my little brother was asking me questions about like the 5th dimension.
Wow.
And I was like, not knowing how it is. I was like, dude, I don't know. But that class got me thinking a lot about Interstellar.
Dr. T, I
That's-
think I'm missing a paper.
Let's see. Yeah, I think you are. How did, yeah, it's failed. Does everybody have
Good
3?
video.
3 different
Matthew
sheets.
McConaughey is just daddy all
Sorry.
the way.
Oh.
That would be so sad.
And you got 3,
I
right?
know, right?
You got 4, okay. Oh my God, okay. Yeah,
I
thanks, you
know.
need 2 of those.
I know.
Oh. Alrighty, friends, we're starting some new stuff today. Oh, Bella, you just popped into existence, like, really quickly.
Yeah, sorry, I was coming back.
No,
from the
I'm glad.
doctor's.
Glad you're here. She does. So yeah, we're gonna start a pretty short unit. It's only gonna take us like a week. You're welcome. I got one more thing for you. Oh, you're gonna have to have this one, I think. It's got like a little, I don't know.
Have you heard that
some
one?
weird little thing on it. But it's okay. I
I
think it's okay.
I'm not worried about it, thank you.
Okay, good. All right, let's reset. Let's do a reset. Just bring this home for a few minutes as we transition into math life for a short period. Just sitting with your eyes closed and taking a few breaths. Just settle in. Feel your body. And just notice what you feel. Whatever that is, it's okay. See if you can notice if there's anything coloring your experience, like a mood, or just any emotion. Whatever you are feeling, that is okay. Just tell yourself that this is all right. Because it will pass. Change into something else. Now just give yourself a hug inside your mind. Show yourself a little love because you deserve it. Let's do some math. We are going to talk about dividing things. Couple different ways. That's pretty much this whole week is about dividing things fairly. How do we share things? There's a lot of people trying to divide things in the world right now, not necessarily trying to worry about fairness or equity or decency, I guess, in any way. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume that we've got a sharing game. We're going to do a thing called fair division. Man, I can't wait to get this mask off. That is going to be a sweet day.
Did you say that's next week?
That is next week, starting Monday. Yeah, put it on your calendars. No masks Monday.
What am I gonna do with the giant bag?
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, I'm sure there'll be another pandemic somewhere down the road, so. And I'm not gonna open up any homework yet. I wanna wait till Wednesday to have that open up. I kinda wanna tweak it a little bit. You might wanna bring your laptop on Wednesday. We might get to, where you can just start working on the homework. But the basic idea is this. We've got something that we want to split up among a group of people, and we want to make sure everyone feels like they got their fair share. So let's just talk about some basic terms here first. What is a fair share? That's the first one. So let me just get out some of the key terms here so I don't miss any. So first off, we've got the goods. So the goods are, you know, anything you want to split up. Land, inheritance, pizza, whatever you got. Stuff. It is the stuff to be split up amongst all of us here in this room. The players are the people who are going to get this stuff. So these are the interested parties. And then we have the value system. This gets pretty complicated. I mean, you could probably take a course on something like this, but what we just assume is that each person looks at this situation in a unique way and has different values. So for example, and we'll take a look at an example. Say we have a cake, and there's chocolate, and then there's strawberry. Maybe it's an ice cream cake or something like that. And we want to split that among 3 people. And we want to do it in a fair way. Now, the people are going to have different feelings about chocolate and strawberry. To some of them, chocolate is going to be much more valuable than strawberry. There might be people who are allergic to chocolate and it has no value, but the strawberry has all the value. So this value system is just the player's inherent, maybe I should put it like that, inherent estimation of worth. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And we're going to make these basic assumptions, and we have to make these even though they don't necessarily carry over into the world. So the assumptions for all the games are rationality. And what we mean by this is that everyone is trying to maximize their gain from this, and they're going to act in a completely rational way. They're not trying to screw anybody. So we're not going to look at like a divorce scenario where somebody's angry and somebody's hurt or whatever it is, and then there's all sorts of people trying to play games. There's no games going on. So every person, every player, let's see, and I might have this said nicely here. Every player tries to maximize their share based on reason alone. So every player tries to maximize their share purely on reason, no emotion. I don't even know how we figure that in. And then cooperation, which basically means everyone accepts the rules of the system. When you're going into this, you're like, okay, here's how we're going to do this. Okay, I'm on board. So every player agrees to the rules. We're going to look at really 4 different types of games for dividing things. So we'll have 4 different rule sets. Privacy. Nobody knows what anybody else wants unless it is clearly made explicit because of the game. So privacy here is players have no useful information about others. So no player has inside info about other players. So far, this is kind of like a poker game we got going on here. All these things would need to be established for a poker game. And then finally, symmetry. This is the last one. Every player is entitled to what they consider a proportion, hold on, let me just get the damn words I wrote out earlier. So, players have equal rights in that each is entitled to a proportional share in their estimation. Is entitled to a proportionate share in their value system. That's the key thing. So if there are n players, everyone needs to feel like they got at least 1 over n of the share. Each player must get 1 over n of the share in their value system. So this is really, I keep saying that, but you're going to see it's not necessarily what you would consider a fair share. 1 over n of the share in their value system. Okay. So that all sounds pretty complicated. It's not going to be as complicated as that once we start getting going. Let me let you get caught up. That's the worst part, just getting all that stuff out of the way. Oh, and one more that I did want to add. If there's cash involved, if there's payments involved, everybody's got as much cash as they need. So cash is not an issue. You wouldn't be in this game where you had to pay 100K unless you had 100K to give. I guess that's kind of part of the rationality and cooperation, but I like to make it really clear. Okay, so let's take a look at least kind of talk about these terms just a little bit. So suppose Paul, yep, you Paul, Paul, thought I'd use some actual names here instead of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, which I actually end up doing I think a little later, but that's okay. So Paul divides the goods into 4 different pieces, 4 different parcels, let's call it that. Some real estate terminology there. They're going to be S1, S2, S3, and S4. So these stand for shares. There's 4 different shares. So Paul has taken whatever it is, either cut it into 4 pieces, it's a piece of land, he put it on the map, cut it up. It's a pizza, he made the cuts. It's a bag of candy, he's put it into separate piles and sorted the different candies in different ways. So Paul has broken this thing up into these parcels. And then Lydia comes along and looks at the parcels. Now to Paul, since Paul divided these, he probably thinks this is a quarter, and this is a quarter, and this is a quarter. He thinks they're all a quarter because he wanted to be fair. So in Paul's estimation, each share is equal. So each is 1/4 of the whole thing. But Lydia is not as keen on the way Paul divided the candy, perhaps, or cut the cake. And so she comes in and says, well, wait, that's, ugh. I would actually estimate this. This looks more like 12%. So for Lydia, oh, wait.
There's an I.
There's a cake, okay, that, like that.
It's
Shit. Where's it? Tell me how to do it.
L-I-D-I-Y-A.
L-I-D-I. Oh, okay, got it. I tried. I had the right letters there. I knew. Okay, so but Lydia comes along and says, so Lydia's value on each of this, she says S1 is 12% of the whole thing. This one's 27% of the whole. Lydia's getting pretty technical about this candy. I mean, quite frankly. That's like 18%, and then this is 43% in her value system. This one has, what kind of candy do you like? Kit Kats. So this one's got a lot of Kit Kats. This one has a few Kit Kats, and these don't have any Kit Kats at all, right? So to Lydia, there's only 2 fair shares here. The only 2 fair shares to Lydia are S2 and S4 because they're more than 25% of the total value. So for her, only shares S2 and S4 are fair because each is worth more than a quarter. These are woefully unfair shares here. So that's kind of how that works, and hopefully that clarifies how the value systems play into deciding what a fair share actually is. So let's take a look at a cake. Let's look at that cake that I had at the beginning. Paul, you're going to be my divider for a while, okay? So we got this cake. And the cake is half chocolate and half strawberry. For me, those are equal. How do you feel about those, Paul?
Looks pretty equal.
No, how do you feel about the flavors?
Oh, they're both good.
Cool, okay, cool, thanks. That's what I was hoping you'd say. I was like, oh shit, I hope you didn't have a strong preference. I'm allergic to strawberry. So to Paul, both these are the same. And he's trying to split it with me. And let's say I'm allergic to chocolate. So Paul comes in and he's like, hey, it's just you and me. I'm cutting this cake in half. So he makes a cut. He's like, hey, everybody probably, we haven't had this conversation, so he doesn't know how I feel. Everybody should have the chance to get a little more of what they want. So Paul makes this cut right here. So the 2 halves of the cake look like this. Let's see here. So we got this half, and then this half. And this half is mostly strawberry and a little bit of chocolate. In fact, how much of this piece is strawberry does it look like? Like a 2/3 almost? Yeah, so here we got 2/3 strawberry and 1/3 chocolate. And then over here, kind of the symmetric thing where we have 2/3 chocolate and 1/3 strawberry. Well, if I can't eat chocolate, this isn't a great deal for me. If I can't eat chocolate, which of these 2 would I pick? I have to pick. So we had the system. Yeah, what do you think,
The
Christine?
2/3 strawberry.
I'm totally going to go, right? I'm going to go for the one I can eat the most. So if I'm allergic, I'm going to write this all out. Allergic to chocolate, I go for this half here. I go for the half that's 2/3 strawberry. So what would have been ideal for me? What would have been the ideal cut for me?
To get the full half of strawberry.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just like, this would have been the best cut, right? It's like, hey, you don't care, Paul, take the chocolate half, give me the strawberry half. So for me, this is the only part that has any value. And so this is 100% of the value to me. I only got 2/3 of it. So I'm getting 66, oh wait. I'm getting 2/3 of a half. That really matters to me. I'm getting 2/3 of the whole half, and Paul is getting a whole of the entire thing. So for Paul, Paul's actually got 50% of the cake, no matter what. 50%, that is his fair share, that is his share. But for me, I'm getting less than that. I'm getting 50% of the cake, but only 2/3 of it's any good to me. So what is my actual fair share here? What is my share? Paul's got 50%. What is my share?
2/3 of a half.
Yeah, 2/3 of a half, which is 1/3. You guys know how to do that stuff? 2/3 of a half, you multiply them together, it's a half times that, so that is equal to 1/3. So I've only got 33% of a share in my estimation. So I'm getting a little bit screwed here. To me, I have much less value in what I've received than Paul has in his. So you've really got to look at the situation and analyze it carefully. You're going to have a couple problems like this in the homework, and we'll talk about them when you get to them. But figuring out what each person's share is can be a little tricky at times. So let's talk about our first method. First method, method 1, is divider chooser. This is the oldest method in the world. Well, actually, I guess we're going to talk about 5 methods now that I think of it. So this is the most primal method of all. This is, there's one person who's the divider, and this is for 2 people. So this is a 2-player game. One person is the divider, and they cut the loot. The other person chooses their half. So one person divides the goods. Now this person, when they do this, they're assuming that what they've just done is fair share. I mean, if you're going to do this, you don't know which half you're going to get, right? So I'm going to cut this thing in half. You're going to choose your half, and I'm left with the other half. This encourages me to make the best damn cut I can make. I want to make this cut so that I'm happy with either part. So that puts a burden on me to do this fairly. So one person divides the goods, the other chooses their half. It's pretty much always better to be the chooser in the end, because there'll always be something kind of weird. So if you're ever playing a game like this, chooser's the better role to take. Unless there's something very specific you want. Like in this one, let's look at this over here. If I had been the cutter, if I had been the divider, I would have made this cut a whole lot differently. And I would have ended up, I could have ended up with either all of what I needed or none of what I needed. So you've got to be really careful. It's a very fine game. So one person divides the goods, the other chooses their half. Let's see, do we have a little example of that? I don't think so, because is there even much to talk about there? No, pretty much talked about it. So this is like the most basic system. And it only works with 2 people. But in 1954, this was extended to more than 2 people. And the system is called the lone divider system. So hold on, I must have enough pens there, and the new pens. If more than 2 players use the lone divider system. And again, 1954, it's crazy that we didn't know how to divide things fairly before that. I don't know what the hell people did. I guess things weren't fair, or we just eyeballed it and hoped for the best. But, oh, sorry, 1943. It's even older. So I guess a little bit more time that we've had with this. So here's how this game works. Let's just say there's 3 people, and then we can generalize this. So suppose we have n equals 3 players. Somehow one person becomes the divider. That's what the lone divider phrase is all about. There's only one person who will do the dividing, the other 2 become choosers. So one person takes the role of divider. You can maybe do some Rochambeau or whatever it is, roll some dice, flip some coins. I don't know how you figure this part out. That's not our problem. One person gets to do that. The other two are choosers. So the divider will cut the loot up into 3 parts that they believe are equivalent. So step 1, this is kind of step 0. Step 1, divider cuts the loot into what they estimate as 3 equal parts. So to the divider, each of the parts, and let's maybe see, do we want a little picture or something like that? Yeah, we can do a little picture, just cutting cakes up. So let's say they cut it up, that, and like that, and then maybe it's, you know, depending on what we're cutting, it doesn't have to be all equal parts. Maybe there's just more sprinkles in this part, so they thought, well, this person, if you get more sprinkles, but you get a little less cake as a payoff. So they cut this up into 3 parts, to them all equal. So let's make that little note. To the divider, each part is 1/3 of the total value. Okay, so now the other 2 people come in, and they are going to place bids on these pieces. So we're going to label the shares. Share 1, share 2, and share 3. Here's how this is going to work. The choosers, each player, including the divider, writes out a secret bid. And the bid is going to be a list of the shares they want. So the secret bid, i.e. a list of shares they consider fair. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's say that we have the divider, we have chooser 1 and chooser 2. So let's say divider 1 cuts this, and maybe they made S3 a little tiny because they actually wanted that piece, because they liked the sprinkles and they thought if they made it tiny, nobody else would go for it. So divider's like, oh, I just want, we use the set notation, S3. Chooser 1 looks at this and says, I like those big pieces, I'm going S1, S2. And then chooser 2 comes in and is like, you know, I don't really give a shit. It's cake. Cake is good. I like cake. So they. So that's the next step. So let's see here, step 1, step 2. This is step 2, the bidding process. And then finally there's the resolution, step 1 of the resolution. It's called distribution. Okay, so it kind of depends on what's going on. We make a list over here. So for the distribution, list the chosen pieces in one list, and then the unchosen pieces in another. We're going to call these C, we'll call this U, chosen, unchosen. And over here, we literally every single piece is chosen for this one. We're going to look at a couple examples. Unchosen pieces, there are none. Can you think of a fair distribution here? If you were in charge of this, what would the distribution be? Who would get what? So at this point, everybody's, every piece has been chosen, there's nothing unwanted. Can we give a fair distribution here so that somebody gets something they want? Everybody gets something they want. What do we think? Oh, or Lydia, okay.
So the divider gets, share 3.
That seems like a no-brainer, right? Because these three this one doesn't even want S3, and this one's cool with anything but S3, so yep. So we'll give the divider, get share 3, and then what else would you do, Lydia?
And then, first choice 1 will get, share 1, and then for the second one, get share 2.
That sounds good to me. Are there any other results? Can we do this a different way? Frank?
Could you do C1 gets S2 and then C3?
Absolutely, those both are fair. So two totally different, not totally different, but two different distributions that are equally fair. So or, we gotta give S3 to D, because that's really the only thing they want. So D gets S3, but then C1 gets S2, and C2 gets S1. Nice. So this is pretty straightforward, right? This is almost like, it doesn't require math really much at all here. This is like common sense and just keeping our shit organized. Let's take a look at another example though. What happens if everything doesn't get chosen? Then things become a little bit more interesting. So, let's see here. Yeah, okay, so here's a new example. We've got 4 players. I guess, shit, I'm just gonna go A, B, C, D again, sorry. And the 4 players, A becomes the divider, so A is the divider. I hate this pen, why are my pens so bad today? I think it drove Frank out of the room, they're so bad. There we go. A is the divider, however that got decided. Oh, there we go. And then the bids were made. So A cuts this stuff up into 4 pieces, 4 equal in A's eyes. So the bid lists, oh, so much better, are as follows. B is S1, S3, excuse me, S2, S3. C is S3, S4. D is S4. And since A is the chooser here, if we just usually assume that all pieces are, well, actually, no, hold on. Let's leave A out of this right now. Because I think I screwed up just a little bit here, so let me just say that again. So the distribution, I don't think the chooser actually gets to bid. So I think I made a mistake over here in that distribution. I don't think that this person gets to bid. So let's just, sorry about that. Let's just keep them off here. So here's the bid lists. And let's just make this a little clear. The divider doesn't bid. And the reason for that is they presume they made the cuts, they're happy with any of the portions, so they don't need to bid. These people didn't make the cuts, so we need to give them some power. So now let's make a list of chosen and unchosen. So the chosen piece is pretty much everything except S1. Is this clear? Yeah, okay. So these are the chosen pieces, this is the unchosen one. So now we try to distribute the chosen pieces, if possible, to each of these 3 people. Is it possible to distribute these 3 pieces to the choosers fairly? Yeah, I think so. What would you do here, Paul?
Probably just give S2 to B, S3 to C, S4 to D,
Sounds perfect. And then what does the divider get?
S1.
S1. So the divider gets this unchosen one if it's left over. So what we have now is the distribution is going to be B. You said S2, Paul?
Yep.
S2, so if they have S2, we remove that from play. C's going to get S3, and D clearly has to get S4. And actually, if we do this backwards, it almost unfolds itself into exactly what needs to happen, right? Because this has to happen. D has to get S4. That means S4 is off the table for C. That means C has to get S3. And that means that B had to get S2. This is the only fair distribution that we can make. So unlike this other case, there's exactly one way to do this, and then A gets the leftover. But make a note to yourself that this is the only fair distribution. That keeps everyone happy. At this point, everyone has gotten something that they think is at least 25% of the loop. All right, let me give you one to work. Actually, let's take, I was going to do the sheets, but let's not do the sheets yet. I've got it. I'm wishing I had an example that I'm going to have to try to make up right now. Oh God, now I'm a little scared here. Ah, shit. Okay, how about this? Let's do this again. So again, we're going to have 4 players. This is another example. This is a more complicated example, so I got to make sure that I do this right. So we'll say A is divider because it doesn't really matter, because we don't know these people at all. And then the bid lists are as follows. So A divides into 4, so we have 4 pieces. And the bid lists are as follows. So B is going to ask for S2 and S3. C is going to ask for S2 and S4. D is going to ask for S3 and S4. There we go. And those are the bids. Can you make a fair distribution here? So like, what would you do? So just like, see if you can parcel it through and work it out. And see if you run into any problems. And A's going to get what's left over. This is a 3 here, if you can't see it. Are there any issues here? I guess there aren't, actually. Are there? This just seems fine. I was thinking this one was gonna be rough, but it's really not at all. Okay, let's just finish this one up, and now I know what we got to do to tweak it. But can we see here that we could do B gets S2, and then C gets S4, and then D gets S3. Are there other ways to do this? And then here A gets S1, because that's left over. Or what else could we do? Is there another one? Yeah, what you?
I think you can do like S3, S4, S2.
Okay, so B gets S3?
Or
And then-
sorry, no, it's S.
What?
Never mind.
That might not be bad. I think you're okay. I think
So
that,
it's
what were you meaning, Brooklyn? Sorry.
S3, S2, S4.
So, which persons are getting those?
B gets S3,
Okay.
C gets S2, and D would get S4.
Thank
Does that
you.
work?
That looks good to me.
Yeah.
And then, once again, yeah, that's beautiful. A gets S1. I think there's actually another one. Maybe? Let's see. Or is that it? Because B either gets S2 or S3. I think there might be one more. Let's just, I don't even give a shit. Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares. Let's just stop that. So let's do one more example. Example 3. 4 players. Oh Lord. A is the divider. I think it's good to just work these through anyway. The bids are B wants S1, S2. C wants S1, S2. Here we go. Now we got some serious problems. D wants S1, S3. Shit, that's still not a problem. D only wants S1. There we go. That's still not a, no it is, okay, good. Jesus
Deep breaths.
Yeah, I gotta relax. So, let's do the division together, because there's something special that happens here. What's one clear-cut distribution? What has to happen if somebody's gonna get fair stuff here? D's gonna get S1. That has to happen. They don't want any other parts of this. So D must get S1. So, okay, so what do we actually have chosen? So here we have chosen, we've got S1, S2, S3. No, just S1 and S2, right? And then unchosen are everything else, S3 and S4. So we've got only 2 pieces, but we've got 3 people vying for them. Since D only wants S1, we're gonna give D S1. But now we've got S1 and S2 together, and there's conflict, because S1's already been given away. So these 2 now are vying for the same piece. What do we do? Well, we toss S2 back in with the other unchosen pieces, and then these 2, B and C, play divider chooser with them.
Ew.
What's
Oh,
that?
sorry.
Ew? Did you say ew?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I thought you were gonna divide S2 in half. You were gonna have like, you were going to divide S2 into 2 half pieces. Well, I guess that wouldn't work.
Yeah, because we couldn't know what, because they might have different values, right? We still have to do, somebody's gotta cut, somebody's gotta choose, because if one person just cuts and chooses, or if they work on it together, then there's a conflict of interest.
Oh.
And so we still have to go back to that divider chooser to get ultimate fairness. So D's gonna get S1, and then we've got these other pieces here. So, shit. Oh, okay, so here we go. D gets S1. A doesn't care, so A's gonna get one of these pieces. A gets, I got it, either S3 or S4. We're holding off on the 2 that are conflicting right off the bat. So A gets one of the unwanted pieces. Doesn't really matter. Let's say they get S3. So now, what is left over? That leaves S2 and S4. So now what we do is we combine S2 and S4 into a single item. So this is where ooh happens. Since there's a conflict, combine S2 with the leftover not chosen by A, or not given to A. So in other words, that is, what did I say it was? S3. Wait, bless you, S4. Into one piece. So now we've got S2 and S4 combined together. We give these to the competing parties and say play divider chooser now. So we smash all this together and then let B and C play divider chooser on this whole thing. So there might be a new cut and then a re-choosing again. Play divider, chooser. And then at the end, everybody's got their fair share. But that's pretty complicated. That's about as complicated as it can get. I think we need to just work some of these together. So you've got some sheets, I believe. I've also got some stuff to hand back to you while you're doing it. Let's take a look at the lone divider arrives again. That's a double-sided sheet. Let's just go through, there are two very different things here. Let's go through the one without the numbers, without the grid. So it's the one where little Joe's got S1, S2, big Joe's got S1, S2, boss, X, etc. Takes a minute, take some time, and let's just do this first side together and then go through it. I'll come around. Well, actually, I'll do it with you. So remember, make a list of chosen and unchosen first. And notice here that we have 5 pieces.
Sorry.
It's okay. I like it. I like strange things.
I'm on the wrong page.
Oh no. Got it, you with me?
Is this what we're doing?
Yes.
I was on another
Always
page,
important.
I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't, I would imagine. I'm just gonna take a look, I feel like Bella's looking at me. Yes.
We're doing this one.
Yes, that's right. Yes, yeah, let me just go around and make sure everybody's doing the right thing. Right? That's good.
Because
No
there's
worries.
2, the lone divider writes down.
That is correct, ma'am. Yes, you were doing the, did you already do the other one?
I'm the only one who's done that.
Wait, we're supposed to do this one first?
Yeah, that's okay.
I was so confused.
Yeah, no wonder it's confusing. Yeah, you look at that and you're like, what the fuck? Did he even use a number? Yes, yes, that's it. Yes, that's beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. All right. Make sure everybody is on track. Yes. You had something good going on back here, Abigail?
And
Like, be able to-
Yeah, what's up?
just using high specs, so we see obviously treatment based. Other hospitals are a little bit separate.
Yeah.
Test gets two, third ones.
So everybody's only gonna get one thing that they want.
Right, but
Definitely.
because S3 and S4 are continually repeated, you would have to give S3 to like Little Joe and S4 to Big Joe. But then you would have to combine S5 with S2. I don't see an S1, but you'd have to combine S2 and S5 together and divide them between Haas and Tex, right?
Yeah, but Haas is gonna be upset if Haas also wants right? If Haas doesn't get any part of S3 or S4, they're gonna feel screwed. Yeah, he's gonna be really upset.
So how are you supposed
So-
to divide S3 between Little Joe and Big Joe?
So what you need is your S3,
You kind of, what kind of? So let's take a look. So the first thing, make the little list of. Let me get up. Let's talk together. Because you're probably not the only ones who want to talk about this. And I'm glad we're talking about it. Let's go through the easy one first. Make sure everybody's on the right page. So let's do this first one, and then let's do the last one together. Okay, so in number one, that was pretty easy, right? Number
Yeah.
one's like no big deal, I think. Let's talk about how this works. So first off, we have chosen. Make sure you make these lists of chosen and unchosen. Because the unchosen, that's who the divider gets from this category if there's stuff here. So we've only got S1, S2, S3, S4, and then S5, oh, sorry, S3.
I think
was
it's just,
It's just S1, S2, S4.
yeah, there's no S3,
Oh.
that's unchosen.
Yes, unchosen, yes. Got it. And then S5, right? Yeah. That? Cool, good. So, now we go to the third division. So we go through the list, LJ. LJ wants S1 or S2, and BJ wants S1 or S2, and they have pretty narrow requirements. So we could just do this, and that would be okay. We could have done it the other way, S2 and S1, and either one, now they're happy, they're settled. And then, who's this, Haas? It's just an awesome name. So Haas wants S1, S2, or S4. S1 and S2 have already been allocated, so Haas has to get S4. And then Tex is wanting S2, S4, already called, or S5. So that's gotta be this way. And then the divider, the load divider, LD, is gonna get S3. There's only one other way to do this, and it's where these two switch the parcels that they got. Is this all making sense? Yeah? Cool. So that one's pretty straightforward. But now we get to this next one, so let's talk about it and work it out. And we're probably not gonna be quite ready to work on problems in class on Wednesday now that I see where we're at. That's okay. This is what we have to do this stuff. Okay, so here, the chosen, so in the second problem, the chosen pieces are S2, S3, S4, and S5, and then the unchosen is just S1. And as you noted, my friends in the back of the room, there's a lot of conflict here. So let's actually get these conflicts up on the board. So these guys, these first three, all want S3 and S4. For whatever reason, they don't value anything else as fair. But Tex is a little more open-minded. Tex has got S2, S4, and S5. And the lone divider is just going to get S1 right off the bat. This is unspoken for. The lone divider cut these pieces, so they think that's fair. So in terms of distribution, let's just start with that. LD is going to get piece S1. So that's easy. What's another easy call here. Yeah, what you think?
Would, what's the same, text get S5?
Yeah, text, so given text S5 completely uncontested, or maybe even S2, right? So text, we have got a couple of routes here for text. So text, let's go with what James said and give him S5, but note that it could have been S2 as well. Yeah. So now we've got 3 people left, right? And we've got 2/5. Right now, this is roughly 2/5 of the territory taken. So we've got 3/5 left. We've got 3 people. We're going to join it all up into one piece and pick a new divider chooser game and have that happen. So what we're going to say here is there's conflict on the rest. So join all the remaining pieces, S2, S3, and S4 together. So we're going to form some weird super piece. S2, S3, S4 together. And now those 3 are going to play divider chooser again on this piece. So now what's going to happen is the remaining 3, so let's see, so now LJ, BJ, and Haas play divider chooser with this super piece. And how that'll come out, we don't know, but that's how this has to be resolved at this point. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it's the fairest thing we could possibly do. So one of these 3 comes in, says, I'll be the divider, and then cuts this thing into some new weird conglomeration, and then they pick from these pieces again, doing this, just repeat the process. Is there any questions on that, my friends? Yes, Frank.
So what do I like put?
Oh, let's see. I think kind of just write down, let's see. That's a good question, Frank. I guess basically, for A, the answer is we can't give a fair distribution of the land.
Okay.
With the way things are. Yeah, and then for B, just say combine the remaining pieces and play divide. So
Okay, yeah, so it's not, okay, it's not like I have to put in, like, for little Joe, like, some sort of like.
yeah, exactly. We're just going to say, and then you know, somewhere in the future they got it figured out. We don't know how it turned out.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one? Let's take a look at the back page here, because this gets a little fancy. This might look more like something that you would see in an actual settlement. Okay, so this is the same game, but played very differently. So now what we've got is a piece of land that was cut, or let's see, what is it here? Yeah, we've got a piece of land that was divided into 5 pieces. And each of the boys made a bid on each of the pieces. So let's just talk about what you're seeing here. So for LJ, I won't write the whole table out, but LJ valued S1 at 120K, 100K for S2, 130K for S3, 100K for S4, and then finally 100K for S5. So now let's look at what this means. This means that little Joe views the worth of the whole property as the sum of these numbers. So let's see, what does little Joe view the whole property as? So let's see, what do we have here? 550K?
Yep.
Yeah, so for LJ, the total value is 550K.
And that's for a fair share,
Not yet.
or that's just for a total of the entire.
The entire, so yeah, so what would a fair share be in little Joe's eyes?
Well, if there's 3 people, you divide, 5 people, sorry.
It's all good.
You would divide 550 by 5.
Perfect. So, that's exactly right. Little Joe, a fair share for Little Joe is 110. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
So now we can actually decide what his bids would be. He's actually bidding on this piece, and that's it. He doesn't view these as fair shares. So LJ's bid would be essentially, in the notation that we used before, S1, S3. That's the pieces of land that Little Joe really wants. Little Joe, exactly.
I wonder what Little Joe is.
Well, we'll talk to Big Joe next, find out. So, and you'll notice that we have the totals actually in the table. I just wanted to explain to you how those got there. What are the fair shares for each of the players at this point? What are our fair shares gonna be? Oh, I was just, I thought you had a question.
Oh,
You
no.
had- Yeah, okay. Questioning eyes, I wasn't sure, okay, all right. We were both looking at each other with questioning eyes. And then circle the parcels that they feel are fair. And that's actually part 2. You could write that in part 2 of the problem. And see if you can do a fair distribution of this. Yes, Jane.
How did you get, 110?
Oh, so there's 5 pieces of land, and the total of his bids was 550. So you take his total bid divided by the number of pieces. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you do that for each of them then. Yeah.
Total divided by pieces.
Their total divided by pieces, yeah, so for Big Joe, it's gonna be,
600.
yes, sir, yeah, exactly. Right? So.
I'm not sure that you can find a fair division because each of them want something, and with this one, you only, like, he's fine with anything.
Yeah, for sure.
But this one, you would have to,
But let me talk to Bertie real quick, yeah,
Okay.
get a clarification, and then we'll.
I don't know, this is the current subdivision.
Okay.
So, anything like that price and above.
That price and above, that's the minimum, because that's exactly to them 1/5 of the fair value. So it's gotta be that or more. Yes, sir. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let me go work with you, and we'll see. I'm not sure what the answer is. I gotta divide 670 by 5 first.
it's 134.
134?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. So what's Haas's fair share? What's 670 over 5? 130?
134.
134, okay.
You can do this.
Wait, no. Wait, oh, that's, okay, yes.
Were you
Well,
asking
yes.
about Big Joe?
Yeah, I was doing it ass backwards, thanks, Paul, I know you can divide. And then what's 560 divided by, oh, that's
112.
112?
Yeah.
And then 120.
And then 120, yeah, that one's straight up.
Yeah.
Okay, we're running. Yeah.
Are you supposed to put all of the shares, or, cause
No,
I
just a
did-
fair one, yeah.
No,
just-
but all the ones that you said are fair, or
S3,
just
S4,
one, cause
S5.
I,
Oh,
what I
yes.
did is that's like,
Yes.
that's like my final.
So that would, your final answer
Yeah.
would go down here, so
Yeah.
this one should be all the ones that are actually
Okay.
at least, so like for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Got it.
This one. Here, let's get this up on the board so we're all in sync. So for one A, we got 110, B is 120, C is 134, D is 112, and E is 120. And then for 2, the fair shares are gonna be the parcels that have this value or more for that person. What? What? What is going, everything okay?
Oh, yeah,
Pat?
no, everything's cool.
Okay, all right, that's good. S1, S3. So little Joe only values S1 and S3? Yeah. Big Joe, S3, S4, S5. And I know we're running a little late, but let's just finish this up at least. Then Haas, let's see. Haas, this values S3, S4, S5. D, Tex values S1. That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then E, we know that E values them all. So we don't need to put E in there because E's the divider. So, let's see, can we do a fair distribution?
Yep.
Yeah, we did figure out. that
Did
we
you get one? So Tex gets S1.
Yeah.
You get S4 or 5.
Oh, and then the little Joe's gotta get S3 then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then B and C can be either 4 or 5.
Okay, awesome. So it works out pretty easily.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, cool. Thank you. And then, yep, sounds good. Thanks, everybody. And, yeah, just hold on to those. I don't know if you've been noticing, but grades have been appearing in the grade book, where it's like, I looked at those things. Actually, here, before you go, here's a bunch of shit to get back to you.
Thanks.
Oh my God, Christina, I didn't get to it too last time, sorry. These are the like unit summaries, stuff we've got here. And we've got some plain stuff. You got-
I like that you explained this.
What did I do?
I had to take 2 points off somewhere on number 4. Small calculation
I
error
knew it would matter to you.
resulted in several others. It does matter to me.
I know
Thank you for
that.
the
You're
explanation.
welcome, Maggie. You're welcome, thank you. There's like no grades on these, they're just like, good job,
Thank you.
thanks for playing. Appreciate your presence and continued attendance.
Is this it?
No, I got one more for
Oh, okay.
you. This is Christine, sorry Christine, you probably just put a bunch, she's on.
She's
She's out of here.
She's
Fair enough.
down.
Lydia's up there, I got Lydia's stuff.
No,
There's James' stuff, you can get it next time if you want.
Honestly, a 98 out of 100 for
Yeah.
It's not bad.
how quickly I did this.
Really? I mean,
This is all me.
Yeah, you know that. You got all
do you want these now or James, or get them next time? That sounds good. And then I do have Bella's stuff, but, let's see, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wait, here's Braden. Braden, I just gotta get rid of this shit.
We hear you, man.
And then who's this? Lydia?
Thank you.
Thank you, bye friends.
Goodbye.
Bye, and then
Have a
Bella.
better day.
Thank you, I already am. Bella, where is it? I saw your name in here. Wait, did I give you?
I think you handed me back some stuff.
Did I give you this? Did I? I
Yeah,
know you
I
got
know.
credit for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't
We're
get
good.
the unit summary though, I think, from when I was
Oh.
gone last week from being sick.
Yeah, did you not get it back or you didn't turn it in?
I don't think I turned it in.
Oh.
Yeah, cause did you email it?
I don't, let me go look at the grade book and see what I'm missing from you,
Okay.
and then we'll just figure it out.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay, so no stress.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, yeah, thanks. Have a
I
good one.
appreciate it. Have a good one, Dr. T.
You are, you do the same, my friend.
Thank you.